So there is a question, and it's a huge question of when do we open back up society? And I didn't realize that there were so many people so desperate to sit in their homes and await further instruction until I had this interview with Congressman Trey Hollingsworth of the 9th District of Indiana. So that's south of Indianapolis. It goes through Bloomington, and it heads all the way down to New Albany near the Ohio River near Kentucky. And it was this conversation of when do you open society? And his point, I'm going to say it wrong, and you can go to TonyKatz.com and you can get the exact quote. He said, you can either have American lives or the American way of life. You see, he didn't even say it in that kind of crassness. He certainly said it in a way that's cavalier. The way it got picked up by media, I mean NBC, CNN, MSNBC, name it, it got picked up, was that you had this guy, this congressman, Trey Hollingsworth, who was okay with grandma dying as long as the Cheesecake Factory could open. That's not what the man said. And that's not what anybody is saying. But they are saying open up the Cheesecake Factory. That conversation is happening very loud and clear, and you see that conversation when you see Operation Gridlock, which took place in Michigan. Operation Gridlock is hundreds, thousands of people getting together, stopping traffic, honking their horns, and saying, "What are you doing, Governor Whitmer?" You know what she was worried about? She was worried about that people were handing each other things with bare hands. They didn't have gloves on. Were their hands washed? Did they just sanitize them first? Talk about some ridiculous, ugly nanny stating right there. Then you were worried about that some people had flags you didn't like. The bigger story here is that the people of Michigan are telling you they want to open up. The state is very much divided on this subject. Yes, they have a lot of cases of coronavirus. Here in Indiana, we have just under 10,000 cases of coronavirus. The state next door to us, Illinois, has like 25,000 cases. And on the other side, Ohio, they have about 8,500 cases, about 1,000 cases less. They have 70 deaths than we do. But if you read stories about Governor Mike DeWine, the governor of Ohio, Republican, he started mitigation efforts in February. So if Indiana started later than Ohio and the death difference is 70, I don't want to see any deaths at all. But one has to ask the question, how well has mitigation done as we have done it? That's different, much, much different than whether or not the idea of social distancing has worked. That we want to stay 6 feet away from each other, I think people can get. If you put people back to work right now and said in a retail capacity, you wear a mask, people be like, okay, I'll wear a mask. If you go to Costco and you get the hot dog, which I miss so incredibly much, it's $1.50 for the love of the Lord. You will see grown men with beards like this gorgeous one here, and they're wearing nets everywhere. A net on the hair and a net on the mustache and a net on the beard. They'll wear a mask. I think they would rather wear a mask than 3 or 4 different kinds of netting. So I think you'll see people accept a lot of those kinds of changes, and they'll accept them like that. They won't even think it's odd. A virus like this can certainly change the way people do things. But we should ask ourselves how much it worked if a state that started earlier, if you will, than Indiana, and I don't know by the number of days or weeks there, could have close to the same numbers. The biggest question we have to be asking is, did this shutdown work for us? I'm one of the people who argues no. That while you can argue social distancing can work, I don't think you make an argument that shutting down a nation has provided us a value. There is a fantastic video of the mayor of Las Vegas, Carolyn Goodman. It was her father, I believe, who called Barack Obama a slow learner. Funny family. She is saying it's total insanity to keep us shut down. Total insanity of a state of 3.2 million people where 2/3 of that population is in southern Nevada to have us closed and destroying lives and livelihoods. This is the other part that people seem to get stuck on. They think you want to kill grandma. We understand that grandma wants to get back to work. Because sometimes grandma works. By the way, my mother is 72 years old. Hi, Mom, how you doing? I'm making a video. She works. And the kids, they know that. She wants to be able to get back to work, and she wants to be able to go out to a restaurant with her 82-year-old husband and allow them to get back to work. So the people screaming you're going to kill grandma may be speaking for themselves, but they're not speaking for my mother. And this is where it really comes down to. The people who choose to stay home are more than welcome to. I'm not mad at those people. I don't think you should be mad at those people. But the people who choose to stay home should not be able to make that choice for those people who want to get back to work. Now, this whole process of opening back up, I think, is going to be a difficult one. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth. There's going to be a lot of people with different views, even in companies. Can you force an employee back to work who doesn't want to come back to work? What levels of special considerations? Some of that is discussed in President Trump's conversation of reopening the country, some of which I disagree with. Sorry, I'm not taking part in contract tracing. If that means I have to throw away my iPhone, so be it. That's how it's going to be. I'm going to be the guy with the flip phone, right? But the real small one, like Will Ferrell used to have on Saturday Night Live. The people who want to stay out of society, they can. There are people who are over the age of 60 who should stay out of society. And that's a horrible way to say it. But you know what I mean. They should keep themselves distanced. They should keep themselves from being in groups of large people because they are more susceptible. In the state of Indiana, people over the 80 with coronavirus make up 9% of the cases, which makes sense because there are a lot less people over the age of 80, but they make up 39% of the deaths. The people over the age of 60 make up 90% of deaths in the state of Indiana. That we understand that because they're the people most susceptible. And if you're somebody who's immunocompromised, you should stay home as well. But people who are not should be able to allow themselves, we should allow them, they should be able to allow themselves the opportunity to get their lives back, to care for their families, to not just have this whole society dependent on government, especially when they run out of money for small business, because it turns out, even with this, it's not a question of what you needed, it's a question of who you know. It's not a question of whether or not your business was hurt, it's a question of whether or not you were big enough with the bank in order to be able to get your application done on time. And then Nancy Pelosi saying, yeah, we shut down the extra $250 billion for this program. Good on us. In the conversation of opening up society, I favor opening up society. I favor getting started, and I favor getting started not May 1st. I don't favor getting started on April 30th. I favor getting started right now, at this very moment. And I don't think it's something that happens slowly. I actually think it's something that happens like that. Because that's all government has to say. The people will decide the how. The markets will decide how they're going to keep their places clean, how they're going to separate people to make customers feel comfortable, just like Costco did with separating them by the 6 feet, just like Stop and Shop and others did by having special hours for people over the age of 60 so they can shop. Got a lot of faith in the market. I have a lot of faith in people. I'm stunned by those who are willing to sit in their rooms and await further instruction. They're more than welcome to. They shouldn't be able to speak for those people who are willing to get back out there. Trey Hollingsworth doesn't want people dead. I don't either. But I don't want to see people's entire livelihoods die and have them start all over. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share it with your friends. And make sure you like the page, facebook.com/Tony Katz Radio. It's good to see you. Later.